Did you know that testosterone levels from 1999 to 2016 dropped by 25%? This is a topic that I love to bring awareness to people because it is a topic that is very important. Testosterone does a lot of things in our body. Mainly, it helps with our libido, helps with us to have muscle mass, and it helps us to have good red blood cell production. These are all very important things, and we, of course, don't want to miss out on the benefits of having those health benefits. And so, what can we do to make sure that we have adequate levels of testosterone? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to go over some things that we probably shouldn't do. I'm also going to add in some things that we can do to go ahead and to increase levels of testosterone in our bodies to make sure that we can all be happy and healthy. So let's get right into it. So first off, alcohol. A lot of people drink alcohol. So of course, that's why I want to bring this up. So each of us have what are called Leydig cells. These are cells that produce testosterone in your testicles if you're a male and in your ovaries if you're a female. So alcohol suppresses the hormone that would be stimulating the Leydig cells in the first place. This hormone is called luteinizing hormone. So simultaneously, this also raises the levels of testosterone conversion into estrogen. So estrogen is another hormone that you want, but you don't necessarily want your testosterone. Definitely not a lot of it being converted into estrogen. So estrogen is another hormone that's helpful, but we just don't want too much of it. So in the process of all this, a stress hormone called cortisol also gets raises as we're drinking alcohol, and this suppresses testosterone levels. So especially chronic drinking would be even worse than a single occurrence of heavy drinking. This would lead to, of course, chronic low T levels, and it's going to have, as we all know, toxicity with other organs, such as our liver and our kidneys, and we don't want any of that. Me personally, I think alcohol is poison. I think it's great for a lot of things, but I don't think one of the things it's great for is putting to your body. That's just my opinion. So maybe something that you could do is maybe limit alcohol consumption if you feel like it's something you can't let go of, or stop it altogether if you feel like you're comfortable with that, as far as taking control of your health and having a more healthy body that's in tune. So the next thing, I feel that sometimes we don't have enough testosterone because we don't do enough hard things. We don't get ourselves motivated to go in and conquer, because sometimes we may have mindsets where we just get really comfortable in life. We get really used to doing the mundane things every day. We go to work, we come back, eat some snacks, watch TV. And I think some of us get too just comfortable with what we got going on with our own mental programming that we've put into ourselves, and we just get stuck in the same rut. Now, this, of course, is something that everyone here is guilty with, me, myself included. But I've noticed this: when I really push myself to higher goals to achieve more, then I do really feel like that testosterone levels are increased, and I feel I have more of a drive. So it's kind of like it's a thinking, feeling loop effect, where I start to think about things that can motivate me. I start to feel more motivated. My dopamine's going, my endorphin's going, my testosterone's going. And then, of course, as I conquer more, I achieve more goals, then I want to do more and more and more. So I do feel like this is actually a mental thing, that once we get into this belief loop, we can feed off those feelings that we get, and then we just believe more and more in our bodies producing more testosterone, or at least having enough for us to be driven to go ahead and help other people, to start a business, to achieve the dream you've just been thinking about all the time, but you've just been sitting around. So it's just good to challenge ourselves, because some of us we just have it too easy sometimes. We've made it too easy for ourselves, and maybe that's good on days we need to rest, we need to relax. That's awesome. But there's going to be times when it'll be good to conquer, to go to work and just kill the day, just do a good job, get everything done, if not more. So I'm sure you're picking up what I'm putting down here. So just make goals, execute them, such as writing books. I'm an author. I like to write books. I actually have a book on how to maximize muscle mass and testosterone. I'll the link below. Anyway, so just set yourself up for goals that you can accomplish, that are doable but challenging. Having this way of thinking will just keep reminding that good loop that I was talking about. Let's see here. So another thing that is good for making sure we have adequate levels of testosterone is having balanced macros. So if you're used to seeing my videos or listening to this podcast, you know that I'm all about high protein. I think having high protein in our diet every day is really good for us, because it helps to keep us full, helps to keep our metabolism going, and it helps us to maintain and to build muscle mass. So having enough protein is going to be helpful for testosterone. So shooting for around 1 gram of protein per pound of goal body weight daily is going to be really adequate, if not more than adequate, to make sure that we have enough lean mass on us. And it's also important we get moderate amounts of carbs and fats. So when I have clients, when I train people, Of course, I work around their dietary needs and preferences as much as I can, but for the most part, I usually recommend that we have moderate carbs and fats, especially fats. Fats are really good for hormone production, so we want to make sure we're getting enough. Um, so I'm not saying necessarily that with fats, it doesn't mean eat a ton of junk food every day, like pizza and cookies and fried foods, which have a lot of saturated fat. Of course, we want to balance things out, treat ourselves every now and then. But for the most part, choose healthier fat options like sugar-free organic peanut butter. I eat that a lot. Avocados and nuts are great. I eat a lot of nuts. And so just figure out a good balance for yourself. You can also use the free version of MyFitnessPal. I have no paid affiliation with them. I've just used them before, and I'm cheap sometimes. And so MyFitnessPal is great because you can use the free version, track your macros, and to track your calories, which is also helpful. So the next thing here that I got is not enough zinc. So zinc is a very necessary ingredient in the testosterone production because it helps the body, it helps the process of producing testosterone by stimulating the pituitary gland that releases luteinizing hormone, which in turn signals the testicles or the ovaries to produce testosterone. So zinc also helps prevent testosterone from being converted to estrogen. So it's very important that we get enough zinc. We can do it through multivitamins. I take a multivitamin every morning to help me. Of course, a single multivitamin might not be enough for me, especially someone who's a little bigger. So I make sure I eat foods that are high in zinc, such as red meat, poultry, shellfish, pumpkin seeds, nuts, eggs, and dairy. So making sure we're just getting adequate levels of zinc is going to be very, very helpful for us with our testosterone production. Now, I also got down here not enough magnesium. So most people in the US are not getting enough magnesium. There's been a lot of statistics showing this, that we do not get adequate levels of magnesium. I think this would be in part to maybe the soil in the US, and it could also be in part for us just not choosing enough whole foods in our diet every day. So making sure that we get enough magnesium is going to be very, very important. Magnesium is huge with a lot of different bodily processes. And so it's not just about testosterone, it's about getting the essential nutrients that are good for our body. So not only can we have adequate levels of testosterone, but adequate levels of other hormones that are very important in our body. So there was a UK that studied men who took 450 milligrams of magnesium daily. This rose their testosterone levels by 24% in 4 weeks. I'll have the source below for this because I just read this today and that was pretty surprising. But thankfully, what I do is I take supplements of magnesium every night. So I take magnesium glycinate and magnesium threonate. And then I also eat foods that are high in magnesium. So some of these foods would include, they're actually very similar to the ones I just included about zinc, avocados, nuts, dark chocolate is also high in zinc. So just making sure that we're eating healthy, whole foods. These are generally, of course, going to have more vitamins and nutrients we need compared to candy, compared to fried foods, compared to junk food. Compared to just foods that are just created by companies to sell a lot. And so, of course, it's going to be typically helpful for us to pick foods that are whole foods, that are grown from the ground, that are from animals that we can eat. Those are usually going to have the most nutrients for us to help us to have good, adequate levels of hormones. And another thing too, magnesium is helpful for sleep. So making sure we have good sleep, and not just good deep sleep, also good sleep architecture, meaning that we have a well-balanced sleep of deep sleep and REM sleep, because testosterone is actually produced in your REM sleep, so while you're dreaming. And it's very important that we get enough REM sleep to have enough testosterone. And so apart from just taking magnesium to help us sleep, we got to make sure we of course, we're getting adequate amounts. Most people, it's going to be 7 to 9 hours. Some people genetically can get away with 6 hours. I think 6 hours is fine for probably a lot of people. So anywhere from probably 6 to 9 hours is going to be good. Getting less than that is, in a sense, castrating yourself. You don't want to do that. Of course, it's going to happen because we have life situations, things that happen. That's fine. No reason to stress over it. But chronically, we don't want to have 5 hours or less of sleep. So we want to make sure that we're getting a little more than that to make sure we're producing enough testosterone in the night so we can use it during the day. So lastly, there's one more thing that I want to talk about here that I don't see a lot of people talking about when it comes to testosterone. I want to talk about the beliefs, the mindset behind it. So our body is capable of doing all these different processes every single moment. It's doing probably billions of different things right now as you're listening to this podcast. And so with that being said, why would it be so far-fetched to simply just use thoughts to produce more testosterone? I alluded to this earlier in the video, but I do believe that our body is capable of making a lot of its different chemicals simply just from thinking about it more. This is also called the placebo effect. People have literally died from being told by the doctors that they're going to die because they have a cancer diagnosis or whatever diagnosis it may be, even though they didn't. They were misdiagnosed. You can look this up. This is something that's a very interesting topic. But anyway, I don't want to get too off the topic here of testosterone. And so we can use the placebo effect to our advantage to think more about testosterone. For example, there'll be times I'm doing something challenging. My testosterone's probably already up. But then I'll also do a feedback loop to myself mentally and remind myself, hey, I'm doing this challenging thing. Like my testosterone is probably shooting real way up right now. And just because I say that, my body, of course, is going to go ahead and do that because I believe in it. So our beliefs are very powerful because they not only run our entire life, but they can also introduce chemicals into our body, or at least more levels of different chemicals, different hormones to help us out in certain situations. We hear of times when mothers left cars off children. This is the same deal. This is where we have our beliefs, they kick in, and they're able to interact with our body. Our body's always listening to our thoughts and what's going on up here. So we got to make sure that we can input good belief systems, and we can go ahead and program our body to conquer hard things, to raise its testosterone levels when needed, to increase our libido if that's what's desired. So our bodies are capable of this. It just starts in our mind, working on the fears that we may have, the limitations that we placed on ourselves in this present moment, and we work on releasing those and inputting new good beliefs. Anyway, guys, that's what I got for you today, all about testosterone production. I hope some of this helps. I hope that you can apply some of this into your life, and I hope it's very practical for you. If you want to learn more about testosterone production, go ahead and check out my book. I spoke about it earlier, but I'll link down here in the description below, so you guys can go check it on Amazon. Super affordable. It's just about everything I learned as a personal trainer, and I put it all into one book. So instead of paying whatever it was I would charge for a session, you can read that book and you can figure out a lot. All right, guys, we'll see you. Have a good one.